They call him Seatin, the man of legends.
Welcome to a video on the collector's editions for the Nightmare Tide Rift expansion. So on today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through the 3 different collector's editions for the new Rift expansion. Now, as a heads up, this stuff is kind of all cosmetic, fluff, quality of life stuff. To actually play the expansion, you do not have to spend any money at all. All the content will be completely free. So before anybody starts complaining that they'll have to spend money to play the expansion, you don't. It's totally free. So all of this stuff is mainly like convenience and vanity and, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. So there are 3 different packs for the Nightmare Tide Collector's Edition. There is the Typhoon Edition, the Infusion Edition, and the Ultimate Nightmare Edition. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every pack one by one. So we're going to start off the Typhoon Edition and talk about what it has. Now, the Typhoon Edition has 5 different rewards, and I think this is probably the most worthless pack of them all because I don't see it having any great benefit. Now, the 5 things it has is Planewalker Water. So what happens is apparently in the Rift 3.0 expansion, some planar gear, so random gear that drops in the world, about 15 to 20% of it will only be able to be equipped by people attuned to the plane of water. Now, you can instantly buy this, and this comes with the Typhoon Edition, or you can get to level 65, do all of the expert dungeons, and then you are attuned to the plane of water. So I think actually doing that for tasking game is going to be pretty easy, so I'm not gonna, you know, I think that one's pretty worthless on its own. The second thing is Title the Typhoon. Again, I don't value titles that much, so I think that's pretty worthless. Now, here's the only, like, worthwhile thing I think is in the package. So you get an exclusive extra bag slot where you can put whatever bag you want in. So it's not actually a bag itself, it's just an additional slot that you can put a bag in. So that is, you know, pretty worthwhile. But for example, like, I don't know, it's about $30 for it in America, and it's £19 here. So £19 just for an extra bag slot I think is entirely worthless. And then you have Menugu League membership. So essentially what this does is, it's really cryptic here, but basically there is a faction in 3.0 called the Menugu League, and it increases your reputation gained with them. Now, if you don't have this membership, you aren't completely cut off on the rep. You'll just gain rep at a slightly slower rate. So I think, you know, that's kind of arguable whether it's essential or not, but for that price, as well as the bag slots, isn't really that good. And then you have 2 new equipment slots, which are earring slots essentially, and you'll unlock both of them. Now, if you don't unlock them via this sort of package, or a higher package, what you'll need to do is you'll need to physically go out into the open world, do a few zone events, get the, like, 3.0 currency that is equivalent to the Infinity Stones, and then use those Infinity Stones to unlock the earring slots. Again, with sort of the cross shard functionality that we have to farm zone events, I don't think that's going to be terribly hard to do in game either. So personally, I would, you know, I'm not going to value that at anything. So in my opinion, it's like $30 or 19 quid for essentially another bag slot and slightly increased rep gain. So in my opinion, just buying that one on its own is not worth it at all. Now, going on to the one that is double that, so that's the Infusion Edition. So it's everything you had in the previous one, plus 9 extra things. Now, this is the one I'd advocate if you're going to buy a collector's edition, that you buy, because this one has a ton of cooler stuff. So one of the things it has is an infinite use dream orb that provides basic enchantments. So I don't think this is going to be, like, akin to the best in slot Dream Orb enchantments, but it's going to be brilliant for leveling additional characters. It goes to all of the characters on your account, pretty like every reward here does. So yeah, you can use that on all of your characters, and it's just generally pretty nice and handy. So I can see that having a lot of use. The second thing is a cosmetic diver's helm. I mean, you know, if you're into that kind of thing, it's a nice little cosmetic. There's no no in-game screenshots of it yet, but I imagine it looks a bit like the icon there. So yeah, if you like diver's helms, then go for it. The next thing is a second minion slot. So the minions are the new kind of like trading card-esque type system that comes in with the new Rift expansion. So I think having a second minion slot is going to be pretty damn useful. The only other way you can earn that in game is via via the Rift store essentially. So you have to farm a bit of Rex in game, or maybe, you know, get correspond with a credit seller so that you give him plat and then he buys this off the store for you. But then again, you know, I think it's probably better off just to lay down the money and buy it, along with all the other stuff that you get. So then you also get this very, very cool Nightmare portrait. Unfortunately, there isn't a bigger picture of it, but you can see it's very Nightmare-esque. Got a few eyeballs and gory parts around the edges and looks very polished, so I think that'll look pretty cool. Now, the next thing you get are 4 accelerators. Now, you get 2 of them now. The Void Source accelerators are used to upgrade Tier 2 and Tier 3 gear into level 65 expert gear. That's sparked a bit of controversy about the game for the next, like, 4 weeks being pay to win, which I can kind of see both perspectives on, and I'll do another in-depth video on that sort of within the next week. And 2 Abyssal Crusader accelerators, which I assume are some sort of 3.0 world event upgrade gear currency, sort of similar to Imperial Marauders large cells or something along those lines. So basically, they're used to give you a bit of a slight advantage in getting gear. In Nightmare Tide, certainly not the best gear. You know, won't be able to upgrade to raid gear with these, but you can get like expert gear or fresh level 60 gear a bit faster with them. So yeah, they're fairly useful. The next thing you have is an Aquatic Dimension pack, which has a ton of stuff. 12 epic additions to your home. So yeah, that's kind of like rusted ship, jellyfish tank. It all sounds pretty damn cool. Also, one of the things I didn't mention about the minion thing is you also get the exclusive Bloop minion, which ties into Bloop the Jellyfish companion pet. So basically it's a jellyfish minion card that does jellyfish stuff. Again, there's not much information mentioned already on the minion system, so we don't know too much about it. But you also get a nice little companion pet. Now, one of the most awesome things that I believe comes with this package is the instant level 60. Now, personally, I have no problem with instant level 60s. I believe like the 160% XP vials already make leveling super trivial and fast. I mean, you can get from 1 to 60 in about 10 hours, so I just think leveling is very trivial. And if people are willing to spend the money, you might as well give them what they want. And this won't be like available till the expansion, I believe. Yep, I don't think it's available. It doesn't mention about being available immediately, so I have no concerns about like an influx of really like stupid level 60 players for the start, you know, clogging up my end game. So I don't have any problems with that, and it allows most people to quickly get like, oh, you know, maybe I've always wanted a warrior at level 60, but I can't be asked to level because it's so boring. Bam, instant 60, there you go. So yeah, I'm quite excited for that. I think that's really good, especially for the price of the package. I mean, if you like brought a load of XP vials to get to level 60, then it would probably cost that amount alone. So yeah, I think for that it's definitely worth it, and everything else you get. And then you get the additional bag vault slot, which is always it's always pretty damn handy. So, for the standard people that want to throw a bit of money at the Rift expansion and just support the game, the Infusion Edition is one that I would highly advocate if you're not interested in the super ultimate Nightmare Tide Edition, which we're going to go on to talk about now. So this one is very expensive. It's £112 in the UK, which is about $150 in the US. Now this one has everything you have before and 9 additional items. So you have the Abyssal Satchel, which is a 30 slot bag, perfect for putting in your new bag slot, so that is a lot more bag space. Now you have Abyssal Crab Combat Pet Skin. So what this does is basically means that you can turn I believe any one of your combat pets, so like this is Druid Satyr, Beastmaster pet, any of the Ranger pets, all that kind of stuff, Necromancer pets, Elementalist pets, into an Abyssal little crab that fights for you. So I think that's going to be a bit weird, but at the same time, you know, if you want that, you can have that, and that's pretty damn cool. The next thing you have is the Cobalt Fresher mount, which is a shark mount. It's both an amphibious mount and a land mount. It'll be the first one in the game accessible for the next couple of months, so if you want that little advantage of just like being able to have a land and ground mount, then you can do that, so that's pretty damn cool. Then you also get Nightmare cosmetic weapons, which I believe we've briefly seen like the concept art for. I mean, they're not in the game at the moment, unfortunately, but imagine kind of like a staff and a sword with like the staff, you have like an eyeball at the top of it and it's sort of very dark, and with the sword you got an eyeball at, I believe it's like the base of the sword, so it's just kind of going along that Nightmare theme. The next thing you have is Nightmare Black Dye, so that's a completely reusable dye that can just be dyed and dyed again. So if you enjoy the color black and never want to apply black dye ever again, then yeah, that's perfect for you. Now, one of the things that I think is really, really cool is Planewalker's Call. This is the next perk. You can summon an entire group of Ascended friends to your side with this handed ability. So it's kind of like the Ascended a Friend summon, but for your entire party. And I think that's going to be very, very useful, especially when getting people together for like large group events in 3.0 and zone events. Like, everybody's going to love you if that you have that ability. So, you know, that's definitely a nice luxury. The next thing is you also get an additional title, the Planewalker. Again, you know, I don't value titles too much, so yeah, that's that basically. And you get additional Void Source accelerators and Abyssal Crusaders accelerators, which are basically cells to upgrade raid gear, and you know, we talked about them earlier. Basically, you can get to expert Nightmare type gear a bit faster. And the final thing you get is the Dimension Shadow Scion. Now, that is a terrifying and twisted replica of the Port Scion map. Many of you may know that from the PvP map, but you can have it as a dimension, and I believe it's all going to be jazzed up to look all nightmarish. However, they haven't added a preview of anything. One of the things that I'm quite disappointed in is that, like, they have said a lot of this stuff, but they haven't really added any previews for it, so it's quite hard to tell. But for those of you who have the money and really want to support the game and get additional cosmetic rewards for doing so, the option is there to lay down the money for this package. But in terms of value for money, the middle package, the Infusion Edition, is the best one by far. But if you want to go the full mile and get a bit of additional cosmetic rewards for it, the Ultimate Edition is the way to go. So that's pretty much it for the Nightmare Tide Collector's Editions, guys. If you have any questions or anything you want me to further elaborate on, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'm more than happy to answer pretty much anything and anything that you guys want to ask me about the Collector's Editions, and we'll see what we can do. So I already have a video up showing off the Shark mount. If anything else becomes live or on the PTS that you guys want to see, I will happily do a video to quickly show off that. I mean, I'm really interested to see the Shadow Scion Dimension, so hopefully I can get a video of that up soon when they actually do put it on the PTS or live. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it somewhat useful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Apart from that, take care and have an absolutely wonderful day.